Welcome back to the Unapologetic She, a space for you, a space for me, which means it's a space for us. And before we get started with this video, I just want to say thank you because the support recently has been unmatched. Y'all really show out for your girl and it makes me so excited for what's to come in the future. So if you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel, share this video, let's get to 200 subscribers so we can do this giveaway, right? Because everybody wants to do a giveaway or everyone wants to be a part of a giveaway because free stuff is great. But anyway, today I want to talk about the plants that give me the most headaches. So of course, these are not necessarily my least favorite plants because I still like having these plants. They're beautiful, they're wonderful to have, but they are just really difficult to deal with. And I would not recommend them to anybody who is a beginner plant parent because who has time? I don't. But anyway, so the first plant that's on my list is the Fiddle Leaf Fig. Fiddle Leaf Figs are very temperamental. If you move them out of the temperature or the place that they're used to, they are more likely to drop leaves, more likely to not respond to anything you do. Like, it's that serious with them. The other reason why they give me the most headache is because I don't really know what to do with the Fiddle Leaf Fig. Now, I've done a lot of research about them or on them. I know that they need fertilizer. I know that it's one of those plants that need to be fed. They need a lot of nutrients. However, I'm finding that no matter what I do, I can't get this thing, to sprout a new leaf. I think I did get a new one a couple of months ago and I was really excited, but their growth rate is really weird, especially when it comes to the winter. They're easily infestable like most plants because, all my plants like to get infested. I don't understand, but they're too much. So if you have a Fiddle Leaf Fig, props to you. I would not recommend putting them in the basement, putting them in a dark corner. Like, they need a lot. They are high maintenance, just like me. And that's my problem. There can only be one high maintenance thing in this house. The second plant that really gives me a lot of problems, and it's a huge headache to have, is my rubber tree. Now, my rubber tree is right next to me and I love this plant a lot, really. Like, the person I named this plant after is near and dear to my heart. So I try to take care of this plant as best as I can, but I'm finding that every time I do something to this rubber tree, whether it be water the rubber tree, whether I think that it's time for fertilizer, the rubber tree doesn't really respond well. So I did try to use distilled water only for my rubber tree and only for most of my plants, or use distilled water for most of my plants. And the rubber tree I'm still finding that the rubber tree soil gets dry really quickly. I'm finding that it's not sprouting like new leaves and it's really pissing me off actually. I got one new leaf a couple of months ago and that's the only new leaf that I've ever gotten. I try to test the soil consistently. Some days it'll be super dry, like rock hard, and I don't understand. And then some days it'll be like, hello, you've watered me already, leave me alone. They're not as temperamental as the Fiddle Leaf Fig. I can move this plant around and most likely all of the leaves will still be there. But y'all, just because some plants are beautiful doesn't mean they need to be in your home, okay? Like, this is another one that I really don't think that I would get a second one. I do have another rubber tree, but we're not gonna talk about her. She's rough. But anyway, the third plant that I find to be just so difficult, it gives me probably the biggest migraine, and it's probably my fault, is my bird of paradise. Now, I have my bird of paradise right next to me, and actually these are the two plants that I just had to treat for aphids, so that's pretty fun. But anyway, my bird of paradise, when I got it, I actually got it from a lady off her porch. And when I brought it home, I was really excited, and I was a new plant parent. I wasn't thinking like, oh, maybe I should, look in the roots, make sure everything's cool. So eventually I ended up doing that. I did pot them all together. This was 3 different plants in one plant, or this was 3 different plants. I combined them to one plant. The roots were gorgeous. They were big. It was hard to break them up, but this baby right here, the things that I've had to go through with this plant, I have to consistently make sure that there's neem oil present in the soil. This plant keeps a lot of moisture, especially because it's cooler in my house. So this plant doesn't dry out as easily as it would like in the summer. So I don't have to water it that often. But because of the moisture, because of everything that sits in this plant, it attracts gnats. Gnats lay their eggs. I'm pretty sure I had mealybugs. Like, this plant is consistently in its own quarantine. I cannot leave this plant next to other plants, even though I did. And those other plants got infested and I wasn't really taking care of them and it was my fault. But This one kind of makes me upset. The other reason why this plant is a really big headache of mine is because I don't think I live in the right climate and I'm not doing the right things in my apartment to fix that. Now you're probably thinking, well, Sean, it shouldn't give you a headache if you can just fix it. But let's be real. This plant needs a lot of humidity. This plant needs warmth. It's used to being in tropical weather. It's not like a wintertime plant. And I've realized I need to really do a lot more research before I bring plants home so I'm not bothered. The last plant that really gives me a headache, I hate this plant and I'll probably never get this plant again, is the peace lily. Now, I don't have any pictures of my peace lily.
Lie detector determined that was a lie.
I don't want to have any more pictures. I don't even want to think about my peace lily because this girl was dramatic. So I ended up taking my peace lily from the soil. I put it in water so that it could just grow from water because obviously the sis was being really temperamental. Her leaves would just droop down, and every time I would try to change that water, I would think, okay, let me change the water, let me do something different, and it would still just be dramatic. There was one time that I did try distilled water, which peace lilies only need distilled water, y'all. Don't use tap water, don't use spring water, distilled or rain, that is it. And her leaves did perk up. However, I just could not get this thing to grow. I couldn't stop the leaves from turning yellow. I couldn't stop the leaves from falling. And eventually I just said, you know what, it's time to throw it away. Now I do know that part of the reason for that was the water issue, and using tap water on a peace lily is just not recommended, and I would never do that again. However, it is one of those things that I wasn't dealing with anymore, so it went right in the trash. Now, don't get me wrong, I know all of these plants are probably your faves, and these plants are beautiful. Like, I love having them in my home. They really bring some character to everything. But at the same time, if you know me, you know low maintenance is the way to go. And I just don't want to deal with any more plants that make me have to do all of this. Now, maybe one day I'll reevaluate my life and I'll really get into figuring out, okay, what's the best way to make sure all of these plants are on my faves list? But until then, they're gonna stay right where they are. So let me know what kind of plants you have, and if you have any plants that just really get on your nerves, I'm not saying throw them away, but we can talk about it because I need some encouragement. I'm sure you do too, and I'm just over it. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Yo, I just want to say, I don't even know how quarantine started, or I know how it started when the pandemic hit. I don't even know what made me say, let me just go buy 10 plants. I legitimately went to Home Depot, went to the plant section, drove home and called my husband like, yo, I'm gonna need your help. And I had a jungle full of plants. That's a problem. I won't do that again. Only because, whew, going from 0 to 100 real quick ain't it. It ain't it. But yeah, peace out.